were obi dị mma, were obi nwayọ, were obi dị mma na-eto Chineke. Were obi dị mma, were obi nwayọ, were obi dị mma na-eto Chineke. Asị na mmadụ niile ndị bi n'ụwa ga-anụ ihe, ha ga-anụ ebe Chineke na-ajụ, ọ bụ gịnị mere ume n'ụwa jere ibe ha iro, ebe ya bụ Chukwu kere ụwa dị mma. Were obi dị mma nwayọ na-eto Chineke, were obi dị mma na-eto Chineke, were obi dị mma na-eto Chineke nwayọ, were obi dị mma na-eto Chineke. Asị na mmadụ niile ndị bi n'ụwa ha ga-anụ ihe, ha ga-anụ ebe Chineke na-ajụ, ọ bụ gịnị mere ume n'ụwa jere ibe ha iro, ebe ya bụ Chukwu kere ụwa dị mma. Were obi dị mma nwayọ na-eto Chineke, were obi dị mma na-eto Chineke, were obi dị mma na-eto Chineke nwayọ, were obi dị mma na-eto Chineke. Asị na mmadụ niile ndị bi n'ụwa ha ga-ahụ ihe, ha ga-ahụ ihe ọma niile Chukwu kere. Ọ dịghị onye ọbụla Chukwu si na ọka ya mma, ọ dịghị onye ọbụla ka ibe ya mma. Were obi dị mma na-eto Chineke, were obi dị mma na-eto Chineke, were obi dị mma na-eto Chineke nwayọ, were obi dị mma na-eto Chineke. Asị na mmadụ niile ndị bi n'ụwa ha ga-ekwu eziokwu, ha ga-ekwede ihe kwuru mere eme. Ọ dịghị onye ọbụla okwu ya kacha ụtọ na ntị, omenala anyị bụ eziokwu anyị. Were obi dị mma na-eto, were obi nwayọ, were obi dị mma na-eto Chineke, were obi dị mma na-eto Chineke nwayọ, were obi dị mma na-eto Chineke. Asị na mmadụ niile ndị bi n'ụwa ha ga-anụ ihe, ha ga-anụ ebe Chineke na-ajụ, ọ bụ gịnị mere ume n'ụwa jere ibe ha iro, ebe ya bụ Chukwu kere ụwa dị mma. Were obi dị mma nwayọ na-eto Chineke, were obi dị mma na-eto Chineke, were obi dị mma na-eto Chineke nwayọ, were obi dị mma na-eto Chineke. Asị na mmadụ niile ndị bi n'ụwa ha ga-ekwu eziokwu, ha ga-ekwere ihe anyị kwuru mere eme. Ọ dịghị onye ọbụla okwu ya kacha ụtọ na ntị, omenala anyị bụ eziokwu anyị. Were obi dị mma nwayọ na-eto Chineke, were obi dị mma na-eto Chineke.
Well, good morning, everyone. Otito niile dịrị Chineke. Ndị ife, Junior Light, messengers of the Creator. Welcome to another episode of Chiism Live. I do want to apologize for the brief, quick interruption there with the music. with Obidima, the computer has a mind of its own, obviously, and it just jumped to the next thing. So, but that's all good. It is my pleasure to welcome you to this space. The Global Faith Ministries of Chiism, a ministry of the Godian religion, founded by Ahai K.O.K. Onyoha. I think it's important to keep repeating that so people understand. And remember who started us on this journey, who made clear that it was important to invest time and effort in our lives to what we believe in, and what he believed in was in promoting African spirituality. It is my pleasure and my honor to welcome my co-host Dibia Ochoaja, UD Onyoha.
How's everybody out there in space? Every day above ground. Yeah, every day above ground is a good day.
It's a good day.
I have something in particular to be thankful for today.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Now, I'm not trying to promote anybody's product, but I got these cookies right here.
There you go again.
And I'm telling you, man, this is wheat. It's to die for. I just don't know any other way of putting it.
What is that? Outside confections?
Delicious.
Thank you very much.
You. Outside, so just in case anybody's thinking about cookies, that's where you need to go right now. And get yourself, how you say, get yourself righteous. It's a good day. Looking forward to the show.
Okay, it's my pleasure also to welcome our guest, Dibia Chiedozie Okoro. Dibia Ndewo. We can't hear you.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
He's probably on mute.
Okay. I didn't mute him. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, unmute yourself.
Yeah, unmute yourself.
Okay, so he's going to be working on that. In the meantime, I want to first and foremost welcome all the wonderful people who have joined us. Akachi Azubike, welcome, my darling. Welcome to it's wonderful to see you. I have look at the sun. Look at that beautiful sun coming through here. I have to pardon me, you guys. I think it's too much sun. It's too
much.
Chineke says, do you see that beautiful ray of sunshine? Okay, well, it's gone now.
Yeah.
And let me welcome Ukuna Charles. Hello. Welcome again. Nosferatu, Ndewo. Emeka Onyoha, Ndewo. And as they come in, we will greet them. Thank you for joining us. And let me reintroduce again Dibia Chiedozie Okoro. Welcome. Let's see if we can hear you now.
Yeah, I can hear.
There you are. How are you?
I know me also wadi.
It's a big wow.
Carol Dibia.
It's a very Dibia biri.
Dibia, we're going to ask you again to pour libations. It is tradition.
Okay,
we can't start anything until we welcome and we thank our ancestors for who we are and where we are. So,
my wife is with me today.
Hey, can you introduce her?
Yes.
Can we see her?
That's beautiful. Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
That is absolutely wonderful. All in the family,
The family is growing.
The family is growing. There we go. Yes. All right. Yeah, that's beautiful. That'll work.
Okay. Yes, right then. Libations, please.
Yeah.
Sure. I should go on.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Chioke ka ya akwụkwọ gogo n'ụbọchị nketa n'ụbọchị orie. So ya dịrị mma, ọ ga-adịrị anyị mma n'ụbọchị orie. Si ihe niile anyị ga-eme taa, ọ ga-agazi mma. Si orie sicha mma. Ndị nwe na ụwa anyanwụ, ndị ichie, anyị akpọzi unu nso nzukọ ndị mmụọ niile anyị na-akpọkụ anyị na-akpọ nso nzukọ unu jikọ aka gbakọ aka gozie ụbọchị ka ọ hịcha mma o anyị aga n'ọhọ
ise
Theo.
yagazie
Yes.
yagazie
lekwanụ nke unu tụkwanụ eze nwanyị oke ntụkwanụ
and everybody else, wherever you are, pick up a glass of water.
Toast to life.
Toast to Chineke, toast to the answer, toast to yourself.
Yes.
And then let us all please remember our personal ancestors who have journeyed on. Let us remember the great ones. Let us remember all the great ones who have gone on. Let us remember the future generations coming forward. Let us wish them well on their journey to this earth, this world. And let us, most importantly, acknowledge that we matter, that we matter. We're here because we matter. And you mean a lot to us. We hope that what we share with you today, that you will use and you will add it to your repertoire. You will learn. You know, if you stop learning, then you stop living. That's what life is about. Learn what others have learned that you may not know and use it if you will. If you can't use it, it's okay. But be willing to learn. On that note, I wanted today we are supposed to be talking about in some of the institutions that we as an organization are establishing in honor of our spiritual identity, a spiritual path, if you will. Everybody has their own path, but this is our path. And our path is direct communication with the Creator. From us to Chineke, there is no distance. We are connected. We are connected as our ancestors were once connected. And that is what we're trying to do. But before we have that conversation, I want to share this video. I found this video very fascinating. Dibia Ochoaja and Dibia Chiedozie. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, I can.
Okay, we can hear you.
I found this interesting because it is something that we're talking about. It is something that we are focusing about, and it's important that people know we're not just the only ones talking about this stuff. There are many people who realize that the time has come for us to wake up, for us to, I mean, it's all over the internet. I mean, there's nothing new. So what you're hearing us talk about today is not something new. It's something that the ancestors, our ancestors had started. And now we have the responsibility to carry it forward. So our children, our descendants, you know, will do the same thing. That's how we grow as a people. If we carry something over to our children and they carry it on and on and on and so forth. So this is very, very important for us to watch this. Obionyo, love your outfit. She says, thank you. And
hey, what about my outfit? What about me? Come on now. Come on, look at this.
Now you just get jealous. Okay, all right. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. So I want you to all to watch, pay close attention to this movie. Well, it's a podcast actually, but it's very fascinating, and we'll take little bits of it and discuss. Okay. So
information, continuous eating of these rotten apples will make them healthy. So in my own thing, guys, we may as well just switch on the light.
It's frozen.
Okay, let me try it again. Okay, I'm not sure why it's frozen. I've been playing it all morning. All right, let me remove both of you and see if that'll make a difference. I doubt it, but we'll see if it makes it. Or I will bring it back. I'm going to remove it and bring it back because I'm not sure why he's doing this, but that's very, very, it's a very important discussion, very honestly. And I was hoping that we'll get a chance to discuss it, but If it unfreezes, then we'll come back. But one of the things that the focus of this video is to remind, and it was so fascinating. He went to a library in South Africa, and he was speaking not just to the Africans, but he was speaking to everybody to remind them why it's imperative that we maintain our own spirituality and how we must give reverence to our ancestors, and we must build institutions in honor of our own organizations, of our spirituality. Because when you don't do that, then you're ceding who you are to somebody else. Now, one of the key things that he talked about, and I hope this didn't freezes, one of the key things that he talked about that really, really meant a lot, he says that we think that other religions are promoting religion. That's not what they're promoting. They are promoting their culture. Chio, you agree with me?
100%.
They are promoting their culture. Go ahead.
Once you sever religion from culture, it is no longer religion. Because the home of morality, the institutions for morality to thrive, it's in culture. So one of the greatest way of deceiving a people is to make them believe that religion is universal and that spirituality is universal. And once we accept that, what you have done is to subsume your own culture under a foreign culture. And just to summarize, so I can give Dibia Charger time to ponder on this. That particular verse they quote from the Bible, give unto Caesar what is Caesar, and give unto God what is God. And when they talk about Caesar, they talk about our own. And this is our people, assumably, talking about Caesar to be ours, and then talking about God to be that which is foreign. But when they talk about it, they forget to read that particular message. They forget to read it correctly. That when Christ was asked to pay tax, who asked him to pay tax? Caesar. Who was Caesar? The conqueror of Israel. And who was Christ representing? The indigenous traditional religion of the Jews. And who was he referring to? The occupier who has transposed his culture upon Israel as of that time. So when you evaluate that particular situation vis-a-vis what we have, so it means that if we take Christ to represent tradition, so we represent tradition. And if we take the Roman emperor to be
do we as Africans
imperialists
think that by switching off the light of knowledge?
I'm sorry. I'll let you finish, then I'll play it again. I'm sorry.
So it means that the church and the mosque are the ones trespassing. So they are the Caesar. Mm-hmm. Ours is God. Because once God is the finest of all things, the best of best.
Yes.
And nothing is finer than God. Once you conceive God to any other people, culture, religion, you have made yourself the opposite, which is Satan. And Satan can never, never, never defeat God. So it's a prank they are playing on us, and we have to clarify this very clearly.
Thank you very much. And then we'll come back and even you add more to it. So now it's plain. So I'm going to add
continuous eating of these rotten apples will make them healthy. So in my own thing, guys, we may as well just switch on the light.
I don't know what's wrong with this thing. Let me see if I take it elsewhere. Oh, come on.
If you have any other medium, try playing it on that medium just to make sure that it's not the system itself, that it's just the video doing it. And if you play it somewhere else and you play it beyond where it's freezing right now, then you know that it's your system that is having an issue with the video and not the video itself.
Okay, but let's continue. Let's continue with the conversation.
So I'm just going to kind of jump on what Dibio Okoro was talking about, because it's really right on the money. All human systems are products of religion. Religion is about cultural promotion. That's really what it is. Anything beyond that is power and accumulation of resources. Resources gotten from your subjects and from without. When you decide that you're going to use religion to accumulate wealth by exporting that religion to some other location that don't have the army that it needs to defend itself from your oppression. So you use religion as a power source, so to speak, to accumulate this wealth. And for you to be successful doing it, you have to do it through a policy of blood and iron. In other words, if they resist, you put them to the sword. At some point, while putting them to the sword, you're taxed with telling those people that are under the sword that what they do is inferior to yours, that they should leave what it is that they've always done for centuries and start doing what it is that you brought to them to do, so that you could control their behavior, so you could control them, so that they could see you as master and see themselves as less than you are. It doesn't happen overnight. There has never been any place where the European went to exporting their religion that didn't resist the European. We resisted. We paid with our blood. But after such onslaught of violence, at some point, when the gun becomes greater than the bow and arrow, or the spear and the shields, you lose. And then through a level of wickedness, they remove all that is you. And the only way for you to now survive is to play their game the way they want you to play their game. So here we are today. But this is the 21st century. I do remember that one of the first or earliest attempts to build institutions that extols African culture, religion, and way of life was started by Ahaike Okonyoha on Oba Akenswa II in Port Harcourt, when they opened up the first Godian church, when the National Church of Nigeria merged with the Ido National Church of the Bini people to form Godianism. A lot of people may not know it, but the originally Godianism was the National Church of Nigeria and the Cameroon. It was the spiritual arm of NCNC that fought for the independence, from Britain. They believed that you not only needed to emancipate people politically, take the chains off, you also needed to emancipate the mind. When the mind is emancipated, then you're able to build a nation. These were Pan-African thinkers. Nation building, or should I say nation formation, nation building, and nation management. These are the three key things that you have to do to establish a nation. Religion is about cultural promotion. Other major world religions, from Hinduism to Buddhism to Christianism to Judaism to Sikhism and what have you, all build edifices to extol their culture through religion. If you go to Saudi Arabia, you have the Kaaba. You go to Israel, you got their stuff up there. You go to India, you got the Hindu temples. You go to China, you got the pagodas.
Yes.
These people build institutions to extol their culture and way of life, because they understand that the only way to defend yourself against imperialism is by maintaining your culture and religion. I remember Britain colonized China, and they had imported a lot of Chinese to Britain for them to work on their railroads in Britain. And one of the criteria was for the Chinese people to cut their hair. They have this long hairs in the back over here. The Chinese refused. They said, if you're cutting this, it's like cutting my neck. We're not going to do it. So you're going to have to start killing us because we're not going to cut this hair. It's part of their culture. And they stuck to it. What did the British people do? They allowed them to do the work that they brought them in to do in the first place without having to cut that hair. Because it's part of who they are. It's part of their culture. It's part of their identity. Once you lose your spiritual or religious identity, you are lost as a people. It is your first defense against imperialism. And this is the message that we need to get out there.
That's
when
right.
people are down in our culture and talking about, African culture is about magic and, these processes that is looked upon as witchcraft, which is a coinage of the European. My only, response to them is, can you tell me anything about any religion that is not based on some kind of wizardry, some kind of hocus pocus? How do you say that God is great if you don't identify God with some almost impossible feat? For example, in Christianity, Jesus walked on water. I mean, that's some magical voodoo stuff right there. And when you sell yourself short and say, hey, I'm a black man and my God, we can walk on water too, they look at you as, man, that's some voodoo stuff. That's some magic devilish thing. Why? Because you're saying it from an African perspective. But the premise is the same. It's still walking on water, whether it's a Chinese guy that walked on water, whether it's a European that walked on water, whether it's an African that walked on water, they're all walking on water. Now, how come their walking on water is godly and my walking on water is some magical wizardry voodoo stuff? So how you present yourself, understanding that your best defense against imperialism is your religion and your culture. Once we understand that, then maybe we'll start taking these kinds of conversations seriously and stop looking down on what it is that we do on Africans because other cultures are doing it.
I mean, you just hit it all off the park. One of the things that is imperative that us as a people understand is that if in African proverb we say, that means you know how to talk about other people's whatever, spirituality, educational system, whatever, but you don't know how to talk about yourself. It is imperative that we realize how powerful African indigenous religions are, because they contain a great wisdom, they contain insight, they show us as human beings how we can live together, how we can interact not just with ourselves, but interact with our environment. If you really look into African spirituality, that's what it is. It's that connection, that interaction, how you interact with the humans and how you interact with the environment, And then when you look at the ecological crisis we're in, God knows we're in trouble. Look at, there's some African countries, areas that are actually disappearing. North Africa, there are different parts of North Africa that are literally, the crisis is impacting them tremendously. If you go to Nigeria right now, it's so hot. And if you think it's just because, it's our weather, our weather is hot. No, it didn't used to be this hot. It's getting hotter and hotter and hotter. But indigenous African religions, they talk about these things. They have a great deal to offer both African countries and the world at large. But we ignore it because we're so busy scrutinizing our own systems and embracing cultures, other people's cultures, under the guise of religion. This is creativity. I'm a psychologist, and I can tell you that. Okay? People can make you do a whole lot of things under the guise of something else, but they're selling you something else. So if we begin to understand, and then it's imperative, as we're going to talk about today, to set up systems where people can learn how to link between the humans and the world of the ancestors and the environment, and to link with Chineke, it's a linkage, it's a circle. It's a circle. We're not just here as people on our own. There are things that we are connected to. We're connected to those who knew God before we did. And so when we honor ancestors, we don't worship ancestors, and that's another thing. People have that misunderstood. We do not worship our ancestors. We talk to our ancestors to take the message to the creator who they knew before we knew the creator, before we came.
Reverence. Ancestral
it's
reverence.
That's what we do.
You know, we're so busy giving reverence to other people's ancestors and their connection to whatever they believe. And in so doing, we lose ourselves. People, listen, this is not about Chiism is trying to tell you anything. We're trying to tell you what that already belongs to you. Remind you, go back in your library, your mental library. If you don't know it, go talk to an elder. Find somebody who knows. But don't be so quick to throw the baby out with the dirty bath water. To do so is you're giving away a part of yourself. Anytime that you embrace something foreign to you, you're giving up a little bit of yourself, and you're going to continue doing that. And as long as you keep doing that, generations to come continue doing that. So today's discussion is about why it's important for us to establish institutions to make sure that these things that we know do not go away, because they will. Religion, ladies and gentlemen, in case you don't know it, is not about the religion itself. It is about cultural imperialism. That's what it is. Foreign religions on our land, besides taking your other resources, they're taking your mind. And that's the most powerful tool in their hands, is your mind. So we need to sort of kind of change that. Adorha has said, Kalfani says that our children will inherit our inferiority. That's true.
They're already inheriting it.
Go on, speak
because they're already inheriting it, because my son, who you saw the other day, and my first girl, and then that you have not met, that's the only person you have not met in my family, and then the other last girl you saw, each one of them between the ages of 3 and 5 always asks me this question: Dad, why is Jesus Christ white? God is white. Satan is black. Dad, why are the angels white? You know, and I answer them that these are nothing but creations by human beings to make us hate ourselves, loathe ourselves, so that we will have inferiority complex. And so my daughter asked me, said, Dad, is that why none of us has English name? I say, yes, because even I stupidly picked up English name. My parents did not give it to me. I stupidly picked it up. I was the only one not given baptism name, but I picked it up. And I remember when I was doing my baptism and confirmation, 1988, 1989, Father Skylas from Atlanta, Georgia, told me, he said, son, you that I'm looking at, I tell you in 5 years' time, you are going to abandon this. And that's what happened. In 1994, I decided to abandon the church. And that was exactly 5 years from 1989. So, and then I had to make sure I gave my children the much of the Igbo training I can give them. And then my daughters, all of them always ask me, so Dad, is that why you're a traditionalist? I say, yes. Then the last one asked me, he said, Dad, why do you pour libation every morning? You pour libation, you break cola. I said, well, that's my Holy Communion. That's my way I communicate with my ancestors. That's the way I communicate with my ancestors. And then he said, and then Izina said, but why is that so? I said, because I don't want to use other people's ancestors as a proxy to God. I want to use my ancestors. I want to be an Igbo man as an Igbo man, the way my ancestors did it. So whether it registers or not, but what I know is that at any time I'm doing that, they come around. Whatever I do, they participate. And when I finish with the share part of the water, part of, then if it is the spirit I use, they just use the tip of their finger. Like I tell them, this thing is symbolism. Don't go into drinking. Just use the tip of your finger and just use it to touch your tongue. That's a symbolism, it's communion. We are doing the spiritual a spiritual connection between us and our ancestors who have been there, so that they can connect us directly to God, and they can make our case before God, not other people's ancestors. So whatever that means to them, I think I wouldn't know what impact it makes, but all I know is that like I was with my daughter the other day, and the mother was with her, and then they were asking which religion. So she underlined traditionalist. And each one of them have always ended up doing that. Their mother tried to push Christianity down their neck, and I said, okay, I'm not fighting with you, go ahead. But mine is that I will use my lifestyle to work on my children. And so each time, even before their mother, they were underlying traditionalists. And when they are asked, they say, because that forces nobody. And we see he's crystal clear, very transparent, whatever he's doing. And so for that, they follow me. So that's the much. There's a great battle for us to fight, because the great battle we have to fight is that those who put us in this state use state power and then put us under siege, use our own resources to defeat us, and use our own self to fight us. Today, we are fighting as individuals and groups. We don't have the state power, we don't have the resources, but like they say, if you keep quiet, your chi will keep quiet. And the more we talk about it, God will hear us, and we will keep spreading the gospel. Not just on this platform. We'll spread it on this platform, in the classroom, and the Godian temple, anywhere we can. We keep spreading it. So that's it. Yeah.
Let me add a little bit to what you just said. Now, well said. As Dr. Okedibia Osimi had mentioned earlier, the greatest tool in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. Before the European came to Africa, we knew Chineke, we knew God. The European didn't bring anything when it comes to religion and spirituality to Africa that we didn't already have. The mother of humanity is an African woman. Lucy, 5 million years ago, before the Neanderthal. There's a movie called Roots, and I suggest that if you hadn't seen it, go back and watch that movie. This is what happened to Africa. There's a character called Kunta Kinte. And when he was brought here to the United States, they tied him up outside with his hands, tied above his head. And the idea behind the exercise was that they're going to change his name to an English name, Toby. So they started whooping him. Say, your name is Toby. He said, no, I am Kinte from whatever village. They whooped him again. Said, no, from now on, your name is Toby. He said, no, I am Kunta Kinte. They kept whooping that brother until he says, I am Toby, just to stop the whooping so that he could stay alive. And they changed his name from Kunta Kinte to Toby. If you go to Africa today, generationally speaking, through the generations, we now have strong black men going by the name Sunday, Monday, Friday, Paul, Peter. In their psyche through the years, they now believe that answering English names or affiliating with anything outside their culture gives them a fighting chance to compete with the European. Makes them even feel superior to their own people. Give you an example. There's a girl that friended me on Facebook. Her name was Ngozi. She changed it from Ngozi to Blessing. Is Ngozi and Blessing, doesn't it mean the same thing? But in her mind, changing it to Blessing makes her feel a little bit more superior than her former self that was Ngozi. But it's the same thing. When you remove a people's way of life from them, they become stupid, destitute, and violent, and will forever justify their worth by standards that are not of their own choosing. And let me quote a line from Dr. Henry Clark, and I'll hand it back to OKDB. those things that sustained us must be continued. We were talking about institutions to extol our culture and promote ourselves and create dialogue, hopefully promote peace and harmony amongst all nations. If you go to Brandeis University, I think it's in Maryland, you will find that you're attending a university founded by Jews for the best interest of Jews, and it will stay that way. If you don't like it, that's too bad for you. If you want to attend the university the way it is, beautiful. But if you want to change it, you got trouble. Some cultures don't change an iota about themselves to suit anybody. They don't compromise because they understand that these institutions and staying culturally alert and original in your thinking is your best defense against imperialism. It is a way for you to keep your culture and way of life intact so that people don't influence you from outside to the point where the generations after you start feeling inferior about who they really are. God doesn't make any mistakes. Chineke doesn't make mistakes. If you believe that God created everything in this world and God is all-knowing, all good, is perfect, then you must understand that your kinky hair, your way of life, understand that diversity is divine. There's a reason why you have a red rose. There's a reason why you have a yellow rose, a white rose. All insects are not bees. All cats are not lions. You have leopards, you have tigers, you have panthers. All human beings are not Europeans. You got Chinese. Diversity is divine. And you must understand that. And as long as you understand that, you will start feeling a sense of entitlement to breathe this air, to sit and dine with kings, because that's what we are.
And yeah, I mean, to the point. Very good, Divya. You know, one of the things that's so important that we all realize is that there's nothing, quite frankly, we are the only people that people come into our homes and take things out. And then they come back and hand it back to us, and we think we've got something different. We think we've got something new. Whereas it's our own thing. For you to become a real member of a different religion, you have to be so soaked into their culture. Think about that. If you want to be a Christian, you gotta have a Christian name.
Yep.
Okay?
That's the one, you know what
they're not in the Bible. They're not in the Bible. Huh?
That's the one, what you're saying, you know.
But they give it to you. You gotta dress a certain way, just so you fit in. So in other words, you have to abandon that which is you to become the same thing. If the Muslim religion comes to any community, their objective is to do what? Their objective is to absorb that community into their own religious practices. And a lot of their religious practices has to do with this new introduction of a new culture that you've got to embrace for you to be a part of. That you have to adopt their medicine.
Their heroes.
You have to adopt their heroes, their ancestors, everything. And then you are conditioned, after you've embraced all of that, now to look at your own as inferior. We're not here saying, look, the world is it's a global world we live in. We have to interact with the rest of the world. We're not saying hate anybody. We're not saying don't interact with anybody. That's not what we're saying. We're saying that you are just as important as anyone else. Absolutely. And you must be able, when a child washes his hands, he can dine at the table with the elders. You are not you cannot dine with the rest of the world if you're not prepared. If you're so willing to stand and take crumbs, they don't want you at the table. They want you right there on the floor, picking up the crumbs that they throw away.
Like a dog.
Like a dog. So it is no longer important that we convince anyone verbally It's certainly important that we continue what we're doing here. But it's also important that we set up institutions for our children so that they know that this was, African spirituality mostly is oral. Most of what we do, we pass down orally, right? But then they've told us that's not good enough. It has to be wrapped in a book. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes we need to read something our ancestors talked about. And, if nobody can tell it to us, we can read it. That's good. But it doesn't mean that that oral tradition is bad. Quite frankly, oral tradition is what, if you want to, is that oral tradition that you package in a book. So you can either read it in a book or you can hear from the elders. You can hear, I remember as a child when we used to sit down around the tree, in the village, and listen to our elders tell us things. Some things we never read in books. You see, so it is our spirituality is not less significant because it's not all wrapped in a holy book. I mean, we have our own holy book. We have the Nkomi, yes, but we don't stop the oral tradition because of it. We don't. We still find that important. So I just want to introduce, and you have to give me forgive me if I mess up a little bit, but I tried to make sure that it was done correctly before this program started. So I am going to share some of what we have. Let me just say this to you. They tell you that their own doctors who do the same thing our traditional doctors do. They are doctors. Yours is a witch doctor. But it's the same thing. You see what I'm saying? Yep. They make you take their drugs in a bottle, but you can't take it from a person who's trained and understands natural medicine. You don't want to take it from them because they are witch doctors. So the question is, which doctor are you talking about? Your own or my own? Who's a witch doctor? Which one? Because the word witch is not akin to African language. We don't know witches. Who introduced the word witches? You see? So which are you talking about? Which doctor are you talking about? Talk about witch doctors. Our own are witch doctors. Which doctor are you talking about? We don't call them witch doctors. They're traditional healers. And they understand what's in nature that they can put together to heal us. But they don't want us to do that. It has to be in a little pill packaged, most of it taken from your people and packaged together, and they give it to you and you think you got something new. Some of them placebos. They don't even have any worth. But mentally, because you can actually heal yourself mentally, you take it and say, I'm healed. I took this, whatever, they give it this big name, you can't even pronounce it. Half of it, have you gotten a bottle of medication and tried to read some of those things? You just say, what the heck, I'll just take it. Just yep. You just say, I'll just take it.
It says, if you take this pill, you might go blind, you may stop talking, your head may explode, and it's such a very tiny little print. Right? You say, you know what? What's the point? The risk outweighs the benefit.
But anyway, I want to share this. This is an institution that we are building. First of all, we have 3 institutions that we're building. Then the one that is going to honor the Godian religion, Chiism, and it's made with African architectural design. That's important, okay? Because if you go to Lagos, if you go to Abuja, if you go to any African nation, you see all these beautiful edifices in honor of their religion. Okay, so we have one for us. Then we have the Chiis University. We're getting it accredited soon by the heads of the Godian religion. They are going to provide us with all the accreditation we need so that we can launch the university. And that's what's excited about it. Who else is going to give you accreditation but your own? Nobody can tell me about it.
I don't need Europeans to accredit African stuff.
That's right.
We are the authority. Comes from us.
The authorities of African spirituality are going to accredit the university. So we are so excited about that, Chiefs University. And then also we have the Trado Medical Center, which is going to teach all the traditional.
That's a triangle.
Yes.
Triangle.
Yes.
That's perfect.
Thank you.
Perfect. Equilateral.
Yes. And we're so excited about that. So I'm just going to show you pictures of these. Some of you have seen them, but let me, just in case you have not, I'm going to share the screen. Okay. Let's see. Bear with me. I'm working on it.
Yeah, while you look for that, I want to read a paragraph to support what you and Dibia Chaja were saying. Sheikh Antadi have said every idea, concept, theory that are used today to trick the black man, to make him subjugate him, came from his ancestors. Yeah. And then you talked about the education system, Dibia Chaja. Here, that we knew God before they came. And here, let me read what the king of Belgium, that is Leopold II, said to his missionaries who were to embark on a missionary journey to Congo. This is the speech. Say, Reverends, fathers, dear compatriots, he said, the task that is given to you to fulfill is very delicate and requires much tact. You will certainly evangelize, but your evangelization must inspire above all Belgian interest. Your principal objective is our mission in the Congo is never to teach the niggers to know God. This they know already. They speak and submit to Mungu, one Zambi, one Zonkumba, and what else I don't know. They know that to kill, to sleep with someone else's wife, to lie and to insult is bad. Have courage to admit it. That's just the point there.
Yep, absolutely.
So what they came to do was deliberate, and you finished it up and capped it up with the Kunta Kunte Toby story. And that's what happened to us.
Yes,
that's what happened to us. We didn't accept the status quo all willingly. Our ancestors fought, but of course, it didn't start with us. It started with when the Macedonia conquered Egypt, because you know the history. And then subsequently, Egypt was conquered by so many foreign powers, and every foreign power took Egyptian knowledge and repackaged it, then locked out the Egyptians and Africans from the schools and got their own children into the schools and got our own ancestors to keep teaching their own ancestors, and made our own knowledge, our own genres, the foundation of their written culture, while ours remained oral.
Absolutely.
So that is what happened. And until we have institutions to teach this and teach as many people as possible, we'll keep hanging between the sky, the blue sky and the blue sea.
You're absolutely right. I mean, I couldn't have put it any better myself. That's why these kinds of forums and these conversations that we're having is just imperative. It's very important. And we have to continue it. You know, little drops of water makes a mighty ocean. We don't have to change the whole world in one day. But the people that are listening to us, our audience, they take what we say, they do some research on it. Some people are already there. Some people are still trying to learn and understand this journey and what it takes to be mentally independent from these bastardization of who we are, our culture, our way of life, this way of looking at ourselves as inferior to those people that enslaved and colonized us. It's just an attempt to refocus the mind, take us back to the past, take us back to our history, take us back to what we did before the Europeans came, understand that our progress was stunted, it was cut off. We weren't given the opportunity to occupy our place in the sun.
Excellent. I need you, if you don't mind, at this point, Dibia Charger, I need you to describe this institution.
Well, the Chi's Traditional Medical Research and Cultural Center, which is in Umboro, is a center for learning, prayer, libation, research, and also dialogue. And what I mean by that is, it is just not a place where we promote African culture, our medicine, our history, our traditions, our way of life. It is also a place where all world religions come together, right, to preach love and live love. Love is the highest religion. And any religion that does not preach and live love is no religion at all. After all, the essence of religion, the etymology of religion, is a duty one feels compelled to perform, a reverence to something greater than yourself. And that something is Chineke. It's reverence for your environment, for life-sustaining forces that keep you alive. And for you to nurture your environment, you have to have love for that environment. And part of your environment, and perhaps one of the most important part of your environment, is people. A king that has nobody to rule is not a king at all. You have to love, understand, respect the diversity in humanity. Then we could live life the way Chineke, God, intended us to live it. So this Trado Medical Research Center is a way of showcasing African culture, African medicine, African history, African tradition, and also a place where all world religions can come together to understand one another, preach love, and live love, and experience this diversity of life. Life is only worth living if you respect one another, if you appreciate this diversity. Life is not worth living if you think some other culture is inferior or superior, and you have constant conflict that, like we've always had since the beginning of time, since the incursion of the European.
So in this institution, we are going to have people from different African countries,
yes,
that will come and study African traditional medicine, yes, from the Dibias, those who are very much schooled in, yes, African medicinal traditions.
Yeah.
And they're coming from all over the world. As a matter of fact, we have some universities right now that are very much interested in coming to learn from us. That's what's so important about this. They are willing to come to learn because they know that you got what they want to know. Do you understand? Now, when just a moment, when we discard our own things, my father always said it to us when we were children. Akpasa atufu adiyajia boghanya.
Bamba numbamba.
Ezioka.
Ona akpata ogbe.
Ogbe, yes.
Yes. You have something and you throw it away.
The richest, China grew so fast to start catching up with USA in terms of saving in trillions because China developed a culture of avoiding waste.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, I want all of us to think, and Yudi, I will defer to you in a second. I want all of us to think, if you had this structure, this is African architectural design, okay? And it's done on purpose because there's nothing more edifying than putting up a structure with your own design. Something that honors your culture, honors your traditions, honors your people, honors your ancestors, honors Chineke. There's nothing more sacred than that. And it's going to be very elegant with everything beautifully African contained therein. I might say that Dibia Udi, is the one who designed this structure. So we're not just talkers. That's right. We just don't talk. Where our money is. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So it is not enough for us to go out there and build this structure that has nothing to do with reverence to who we are. It's not the size of the structure. It's the content and the meaning behind the structure. So this is the Trado Medical Center. Now I am going to introduce, now we have the university itself, but I don't want to share that right now because the name is being changed. But it is, it's already constructed. We have everything. It's just that now I don't want to share it with the former name on it, but I want to share it when we put the new name and we launch it, so that, because we're going to have a grand opening of this university. And I want to announce today that Dr. Dibia Chiedozie Okoro is going to be one of our faculty heads. Congratulations.
That's good now.
Yeah. For the university, absolutely, because we want people who appreciate, who understand, who can actually teach our people, not based on what they read on Facebook, not based on what they read on, I mean, those things are important, but somebody who actually went and did the research, just like myself, just like Dibia Ochoaja, just like Dibia Ubionyoha, just like all the Dibias that are in Nigeria right now and various African countries. All right. So that is why. So congratulations.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm blushing.
I know I'm blushing. We just can't see it.
Listen,
right?
this is.
You are giving me, because this thing it goes on the theory of complementarity. Because I'm going to be learning as much as I'm developing the theories further. Because we don't finish, learning never stops until we breathe our last. So you are giving me the opportunity. I'm going to meet with great minds, and I'm going to touch base with them. And because of that, I will develop further theories, enrich what I've been doing already. I'm really honored. And then it's a great task, a great responsibility. I'm in it.
Well, let me put it this way. You went through a rigorous interview without you knowing it.
Yeah, you didn't know.
And you have been consistent. I mean, how long have you been on this show now? You've been on several shows. You've been consistent. Your input has been very, very heartfelt, academic, and just, you've shown a lot of love for being a Black man. I'm proud of it. Embracing everything about yourself, understanding this diversity, understanding that you're not a mistake, and most of all, you exhibited the courage to get in the public forum and speak your mind in defense of African culture. So kudos, my hats off to you, brother. Congratulations.
We're in it together.
One love.
And then, thank you. And then, one of the
so let's not forget. I hope in this traditional institution there will be a dream for youngsters, Catch Them Young program.
Of course.
Oh my goodness, absolutely.
That's part of it. That's the major part of it. That's a major part of it. You got to. Let me say this. Let me say this. Let me say this. Yeah, let me say this. Right. Mbiche in Igbo land. When you get to a certain age as a child, it's time for rites of passage, and it lasts 7 years. You're taken from your home.
Sure.
Until you become a man at about the age of 17, 18.
Sure.
Then you get married. Your family, the community provides farm, land, and everything that you need to start your own family. The way we did it back then in the old days is the way we want to do it again, synthesized into the 21st century. There'll be rites of passage. Children will be indoctrinated into the cultural system of age group system of living, of governance. So that by the time they become adults, they are now the protectors of the culture. And they take it to the next level. So absolutely, it's all a major part of this exercise. Sure. And also gives us something where people can come from all over the world to see the contributions that people of African ancestry have made to civilized behavior. So we're very excited.
That's good. That's good.
And this, the next one, I think, I don't know if OKDB is going to say anything about that, but this is what we call Oppressor. Also has African aesthetics in terms of its design, with the mud bricks and the thatch roof. And these are 100-foot tusks that represent 4 major deities of African spirituality, right? Ikenga, Amadioha, Fijoko, Imomiri, Ane, Ofonogu, and the ancestors. There are 8 of them, but we just put 4 of them up here that we feel are like one of the most important ones in terms of our spirituality and the compartmentalization of our deities, right? For example, in Christianity, it's just not about one God. It's about God, the Holy Spirit, and Christ. All of them make up the Godhead. In most religions, there are different deities that come together to make up the whole spiritual architecture of that culture. If you go to pagan religion, at the top of the hierarchy is Zeus. And then you got Poseidon, you got Titan, you got all this different Hades, you got all this different demigods, so to speak, that make up the whole structure of their the hierarchy of supplication, in pagan religion. So this is based on African architecture. It's going to be a very, very large building, so that when you come to Africa, you come to Nigeria, you come to Nkporo, you see something that is spiritually and culturally relevant in our tradition and in our spiritual and religious culture. If you want to experience Christianity, you're not going to experience it by going to the diocese in Abuja, as beautiful and as grandeur as it looks. If you want to experience Islam, you're not going to experience Islam by going to the mosque in Abuja or in Kano or Kaduna. If you really want to experience Islam, you're going to Saudi Arabia to go to the edifice that is built over there in supplication to their Chineke, to their God. You want to experience Christianism? You don't go to Abuja. You go to Rome, to the Vatican to experience it. You want to experience Hindu culture? You don't go to California, to the Hindu temple over there. You go to India.
Sure.
So if you want to experience African spiritual culture, come to Nkporo, come to Igbo land, come to any part of Africa that has enough courage to build its own edifice to their Chineke that encompasses their culture, their religion, their way of life, and their way of supplication to the Almighty God. This is the Oppressor. And we want to do the same thing that other cultures do, which is to extol our way of life, uplift our spirituality, and hopefully the world will come to us to experience African culture.
And we are going to incorporate travel to Nigeria through the Nwalota project.
Yes.
Nwalota project is Nigeria welcomes Africans living outside the African continent. And what we want to do is welcome our brothers and sisters who live here, who want to investigate their culture. We've had the honor of taking several home to the village to meet with the people. And so they are going to have the opportunity to come and study in these institutions, and they're going to take what they learn back out to the rest of the world. And so we just wanted to share with you some of what we're doing. So when people see that we're here talking, we're not just talking. We are planning, we are working, we are doing things, we are preparing. We're not preparing for us as elders. The elders we've already lived. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Some of us have learned through exercise, through just being, just living. Many of us have learned because we have studied, but they are the young ones coming behind us.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to just talk to them. We want to give them something that they can
sure.
So that something they can, so that they can travel, something they can be proud of. That is dedicated to them and to their future generations. This is what we're about. So when we talk about Chiism, Godianism, this is what we're about. It is restoring faith in who we are. Because what is faith? You know, people think of faith is believing in the possibility. The possibilities don't happen if you don't actualize them. So we believe that we go out and we make it happen. This is what we're about, and we are. The time has come for us to end this program today. But I just want to thank everyone who came here today.
One more thing, Ogele, please talk about it briefly. You probably can put it up on your screen. Part of what we're doing too is to introduce an African calendar to the world. The Europeans have the Gregorian calendar. The Hindus, the Indians have the Hindu calendar. The Mayans have the Mayan calendar. The Jews have the Hebrew calendar. The Chinese have the Chinese calendar. But we are not showcasing any primordial calendar from Africa to the world. So Chiism, Godianism, we have the African calendar, and you could go to our website, chi-ism.org, chi-ism.org, and you could find out about the African calendar, or you could just go to africancalendar.org to read about the African calendar.
We're going to talk about that because there's so much that we're offering. So we're going to talk about, as we go, we keep introducing all the things we're doing. And yes, the African calendar is powerful. So I just want to thank Nnamdi Osimiri. Thank you for being with us. Akachi Azubike, Ndewo Dalo, Akimi Bro. Thank you so much. Ukunna Charles. Thank you. Nosferatu. Thank you. Adoha Obi Onyoha. Thank you. Madia Peabody Onyoha. Thank you. And let's see, there's another gentleman that was Kalfani Kwame Anu. Thank you so very much. And there are so many other people that I would like to thank. Thank you, everybody who joined us on Chiism Live, Facebook, and African Spirituality on the YouTube channel. Please invite your friends. We can't be talking to an empty room. We need you to join us. Invite your friends. Have conversations. The more people we have, we will now go into the Zoom format so that all of you can actually join the program and then ask questions and have conversations with us. So we want to do that after we make our presentations. We want to have conversations with you, give you an opportunity to share your thoughts and what you think about the presentation. So the more of you that are joining us, then we will switch to a different forum where you can actually have conversations with us. So thank you very much. It's just been absolutely marvelous having you on this show today. And of course, we're going to do what we do best next week. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yagazie.
Yagazie, everyone. Yagazie to everyone.
Sure.